Welcome back to another episode of the Hard Hustle Podcast. Next guest, she started in the garage. Now she's actually shaping the outcomes across the country. Tahra doesn't just lead, she actually builds systems that truly last. Tahra, first of all, thank you for showing up here today. You knew you wanted to teach at 5. What made you stay in the fight when it really got hard? Because I can imagine it was never really easy to get here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So teaching was always a passion of mine. I got very fortunate to know exactly what I wanted to do from an early age. And I thought, how lucky of me to have that. And so, starting in the classroom experience and seeing general education with autism, kind of embedded in, and IEPs and all of the things I was dealing with, I felt that I needed to get some more training and structure. And my whole goal was to figure out what's my path and is this my end. And I found that, the general education was not it. And I had more to do and more to say there.
And how long have you been in the special needs space now?
So I started teaching in early 2000, and I shifted over around 2002, 2003 to the autism space, and I haven't left.
I love it. Yeah, a long time. I actually have a niece and nephew that I was able to see about 2 weeks ago. And the first thing I thought about going to my sister's house, one's 7 and one's 8, I believe.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, first thing I need to do is make sure that I see them, right? Because a
Right.
lot of times it could be completely forgotten. They just kind of in the background. So I show so much love to my little niece and my little nephew. And I'll tell you, my nephew at that moment just wanted me to carry him like a
Yes.
little baby.
That's
And my sister's like in shock. She's like, he doesn't do that to anybody. Like, I'm so surprised. And he would not let me go. I put him down and he's looking at me like, pick me up.
I love it.
And I love that you're in that space because there's so much stigma when it comes to kids with autism, right? Like, what brought you, what kind of led you to fall in love with the special needs?
Yeah, so it started with I had a child with autism in my classroom. I was teaching fourth grade at the time, and I had a lot of IEPs, but this one is very unique to me. I saw that there was a lot of needs there, and I wasn't trained well in school to accommodate for IEPs. So I reached out to my guidance counselor and my principal, and they weren't sure really how to help me. They could give me some basics, but they didn't know what to do to, in my classroom environment. So I ended up reaching out to a local FAU card here. They provide autism resources, and I reached out to them and I asked like if somebody would come in and view my classroom and kind of help me. And so somebody did come in, and they gave me a lot of great tips and pointers on how I can structure my environment, not just for this individual student, but all of my students, and it helped me, of course. And in those conversations, she's like, hey, I think you would be great in this field. Why don't you come work with me afternoons, weekends, see if you like it, summer times? And so I did, and I gave it a shot, and I was driving, over an hour to see clients away, far from my
Wow.
house. And I was getting paid $10 an hour to be a behavior therapist. That's what we were called back then. This was, before there was mandates by insurance or Medicaid to cover these costs. So we had to find the parents that had the resources to pay for therapies. And so I kind of fell into it that way and fell in love with it and realized, okay, I need to go back to school now and start, this path. And so I did, and I started, my BCABA, that is your bachelor level board certification. Then I went back to school, got my master's and my master's level BCBA certification, and it kind of just sprouted from there.
That's so good. I know I say this almost every podcast, but you truly were chasing the purpose and not the paycheck at that moment.
Yeah, yeah.
And realizing that long term, it would be, a huge win for you and for those that you're able to kind of bless in this journey as well. So thinking about it, you've kind of seen that ripple effect as well. What does it look like when you talk about families and what they actually need to hear the most during these times?
So yeah, so the stigma of autism. What I want them to know is, and sometimes I have families that don't want their families to know that their loved one has been diagnosed. They'll get a medical diagnosis and don't want the school to know, vice versa. And so what I want them to know, it's not about the diagnosis, it's about getting the resources that your loved ones need. And so autism is very unique, and the support that is provided through applied behavior analysis therapy is truly the best. It's the gold standard. It's evidence-based. It's backed in science. It's grounded, for decades now to have proven outcomes for these individuals' quality of life. So I don't want them to feel stigmatized. I want them to get them so that they can get the resources. And they don't have to share, the diagnosis with anybody. They do need to make sure that we have the diagnosis so that we can get the funding that we need, identify the right classroom environments, school settings, applied behavior analysis, speech, language, occupational therapies, like what will your loved one need? And it's those things. And that diagnosis opens the door, right?
Yeah.
It's just a way that we learn differently, and so the resources are a little different. The way we structure our environment will be different. The way we, reprimand will be different.
And is this something that you feel, if caught really early on, truly makes a difference for the life of the child as well?
Yeah, so absolutely. Evidence has shown us that early intensive behavioral intervention, 35 to 40 hours a week, starting at the age of 2 or whenever that diagnosis happens, these individuals can go on and live lives that are very productive, meaningful. They have jobs, they're driving, they're dating, they're living independently. That's what we want. And now that's not the outcome for everybody. Just because you've started getting ABA therapy at 2 years old and you had 40 hours, that's not everybody's learning path. But for many it is, and it can be. And so I've worked the gamut of the lifespan. I've had very littles to people in their 70s. And I saw how challenging it was for me to work with those adults that had never had ABA. They had never been, awarded this type of therapy in the past. They're living in group homes. They're living in environments that were very sheltered, structured, very restrictive. And, nobody knew kind of how to teach them. And so having to come in and reshape those environments and the strategies we used with them, that it took a lot longer because I'm re-breaking, right? I have to, these bad habits or old habits, they die hard. Like, these are now old dogs and they're ready, they don't want to do it this way. So I really have to push them along, and it takes time, and you really have to build trust. You really do.
And I ask, you mentioned about just like funding opportunities for those that have it and those that may not have it. You've kind of being in the space for so long, if someone doesn't have the funds to get 40 hours a week, is it still possible that they can actually receive this through different resources?
Yeah, so private insurances, there has been mandates in every state now, thankfully. It took time before we had every state covering this, but every state has, private insurance that requires it. And almost, I think all states have a Medicaid mandate as well. And now, if their policy doesn't cover it, there are other policies they might be able to opt into. They could do some self-funded policies that add in the autism benefit. But also, there is an amazing grant out there, the uhccf.org grant, and this is through United. Healthcare doesn't matter what funding you have. It is a financial-based grant, so you have to qualify based on your finances. But they'll give up to $5,000 a year and up to $10,000 a lifetime to offset out-of-pocket costs that families, like, maybe they have insurance, but I have a $10,000 deductible and I can't afford it. So they'll offset some of those costs. There are other grants out there that families can receive as well. And so Autism Speaks is a great website to go to say, okay, here's the state that I live in. What resources are available to me, and which one of them offers, the autism specialty treatments that my child might need, and then they can go from there.
So cool. I don't know if I've seen this side when it comes to those that are autistic, and I've seen as adults on what we're doing for homes and how we're allowing them to live on their own. I think that's so cool. But you're in a space that it gets even before that, right? Is how do we help them even before that?
Right.
So I truly love it. And right now you're both running the nonprofit school and a national care organization. Like, how do you wear both hats? Like, are you not over exhausted at this point?
Yeah, the good news is that I started the school, which is my 501c3, in 2011
Okay.
with some, I'm a co-founder, so I'm not the sole founder. I'm the co-founder with some really amazing parents and therapists. And so blood, sweat, and tears in 2011, 2012, through
Yeah.
through the gamut, blood, sweat, and tears. It was very challenging. My children that I have were little at the time. I was also in school myself, so not much sleep, not much, personal care for myself. So that was really tough. But the school now is running independent of me. I help to raise some money. I am basically the parent liaison. Parents call me. They need a school for their child. I let them know, here's our resource, set up the tours. Here's what, we offer. Will we be a good fit? You got to check that out. Let them know about the funding. And it is a well-oiled machine. And so I'm good there. My work, and then that's volunteer work for me. The entire time, I've never, taken a paycheck. That's got everything I
Wow.
could have earned goes right back to that program because it is grassroots, nonprofit,
Yeah.
from the ground up. And so my other job is that's my salary. That's where I make my money, and that's where I have to put the majority of my time.
if the Heart and Hustle podcast has ever sparked any idea or made you think differently, do us a favor. Make sure to guys share this, post it on LinkedIn, or even text that nonprofit friend that you just have. Whatever works, this is what keeps the conversation going and allows us to just grow this community together. Seriously, we appreciate you. I love that. Like, how cool. And when you started this school, if I'm not mistaken, was this out of the garage where you had this idea?
Yeah, so
The hustle is
I
real.
was hired. I was a behavior therapist, as a BCABA back then, and we had a client that the mom called me and said my son has been kicked out of our private school and our charter school. They were also in a Montessori, and he was having just some extreme behavior. So the public school system put him on a hospital homebound, which meant that he got a teacher that would come out 1 hour a week to teach him, and that
Wow.
because he was just so severe. A lot of medical issues, a lot of medical issues, and a lot of behavioral issues. So I was
Hmm.
hired to teach him. She knew I was a behavior analyst, and I had a background in education. So we set up the above his garage into a classroom, and day after day, intensive therapy. He gained 3 school years with me in 9 months. Which is great. But it's not practical. Like anybody's gonna gain when they get to be in this sterile environment where
Yeah.
everything is geared toward him. He doesn't have to deal with peers being,
Hmm.
unruly or loud or, with
Yeah.
siblings coming in to bother him. It was us in this sterile environment. So we saw his gains, and other parents were like, hey, I'm seeing what you're doing here. I want my kid to be a part. So a couple of other kids started to join us, and I'm like, we got to do better because I can't be their playmates. I can't be their peer, right? Like, yeah, we're having a lot of fun here, but this is not real
Yeah.
world. So started reaching out to like local churches, other private schools, like who would partner with us. But the caveat was I didn't want to have my own facility where it was just children with autism. I wanted
Hmm.
them to be able to mainstream into integrated settings where they could have opportunities for, you know, related arts and recess, lunch, activities, and academics. So we found this school that was willing to partner with us in our crazy idea. And so like the first model began with 11 students. We had 11 students. Yep, grades 3 through 5, and those parents took a chance, right? I'm like, hey, I'm starting this
Hmm.
program. I worked with all of those families. The majority of them, I was their behavior analyst, and they're like, we trust you. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to the public school system, which it's not going to be a loss. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so we did it, and it just exploded from there. By year 2, we had 3 classrooms, and it just kept going, which was really nice.
Wow. You seen the need. You found a solution. The rest is history.
Right.
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 I love that. And what does success look like when you're talking about your students, like beyond the grades or the test scores? What does
Yeah.
success look like for you, for these
So
students?
I mentioned earlier, like not every student is going to be that academic student, right? Some of them,
Hmm.
it's independent living. So success for me, I think about quality of life outcomes. Where do they want to be? Because I could define success for them, like, hey, you're getting good grades and you have a friend
Yeah.
and you're doing these things. But if that's not meaningful to them, if they're like, I don't want friends, I want to be, by myself and I'm fine with it, then that's success too. So it's
Hmm.
they're happy, they can get their wants and needs met independently. They have resources around them and like a family structure or a friendship structure that can support them in times of distress and things of that nature. And ultimately, that they can have some kind of meaningful interaction in their community, whether it's through volunteer work, whether it's through a friendship, whether it's through gainful employment. That's what I want for them. So success over time is going to be, it's ultimately independence. And upholding their dignity. Because you think about it, there's individuals that I have to help them shower and toilet
Hmm.
and bathe and all of those things. And no 17-year-old male wants me to help them do those things. So it's
Yeah.
independence in those kinds of skills. That's success.
You're amazing. I mean, we can talk about a whole bunch of different avenues really in this space, but you just have this way of leading, right? The way that you show up. Was there anything that you felt you had to unlearn when you think about, being a teacher, general ed, and then getting into the special ed? Was there anything that you had to unlearn and had to overcome yourself?
No, I don't think unlearning happened. I think relearning, right? Like I had
Relearning.
to, yeah. I didn't everything I learned as a teacher was an amazing foundation. This is what I needed,
Hmm.
right? Because now I recognize like how to set up structures, how to be creative, how to think about multiple students at one time, um, you know, prioritizing needs, that kind of stuff, and tie it back to academics too, because in behavior analysis, while we're doing therapy, And we're not allowed, like I say allowed, but like funders don't want to hear that you're teaching the child how to write their name or learn their colors or learn how to add. But as I'm going through treatment, I can start to do those things in tandem, right? So it's not
Hmm.
the bulk of what the data that I'm taking, but in the background, they're learning these things through being with me.
That's so cool. Yeah, no, that's really good. And like you mentioned, every part of your journey is that learning, and it's just taking what you had and whether
Right.
relearn it, just add to it. In reality, what another thing I think the last time we spoke was that you were talking about adding, or maybe you already implemented it, was AI, right? The need
Right.
of AI in a space where it could help us. It's truly a tool. A lot of people would think very differently and say it doesn't have compassion. However, today I thought to I spoke to a leader. He said, "There's no compassion, there's no empathy." Like, and I'm like, "Well, I don't know if you use the same AI that I use because sometimes I laugh at what AI is telling me, right?" So there's a humor in AI,
Sure.
and I think it's really how we utilize it and how we set it up and prompt it. So when you think about AI, you're not afraid of it. I
No.
think you said you were using it. How
Yep.
is it helping you guys at a level of the school, the nonprofit?
So, a couple of ways that we're able to use it. So, we're using it not to like replace us. We're using it to do the tasks that don't allow us to be as connected. So if you think
Yep.
about like the scheduling needs, right? That takes some time. You've got to make sure you have the right staff with the right kiddos at the right time and the right spaces. That can be leveraged through AI. If you think about the notes, the documentation, this takes a lot of time and it's required in order for us to get paid. Just like when you go to the doctor, you have to have a clinical
Hmm.
note. That takes time. All of these things take time. Emailing, sending out, just updates. You can leverage AI to do those things. So now I have more connectivity with the people that I care about, right? My staff and my clients. I can use AI as this tool and resource, not to replace, but to enhance.
Yeah. So for those that may think that AI is an actual threat and not a tool, what do you say to those individuals?
You know, they're going to get on board or they're going to be obsolete. So it'll happen over time. If you're not embracing it, you're going to find that you will soon be the bottleneck for your team, period. End all be all, like, it's coming. It doesn't have time to wait. Like, technology is not going to wait for us to be comfortable with it. It's just here. And so we have to be like, okay, I'm good. And how can I enhance and embrace it? And not that we're going to be, I'm not a tech savvy or tech forward person. My husband will tell you, I don't want to change phones because I don't want to have to like learn new things. I want to keep
That's
the same
funny.
email. Like, that's how bad it is. It's the same email platform because I don't like things on one side instead of the other. But what I do know is I have to get over that, right?
Yeah.
That's my issue, and we've got to figure it out. And I think we can use it to enhance in such ways. So right now, we've used two like what we would say tech type of technologies, virtual reality and
Yeah.
eye gazing tracking software. So we partnered with Floria, they're virtual reality, and BioStream, and they are like eye gazing software. And so we're able to use this to enhance the therapies. And we can go into like settings, right, that maybe wouldn't be appropriate for a child. Maybe we want to teach crossing the street safely, but this child runs and elopes. And so putting them in an environment where they had to cross the street safely, it could set them up for failure. So we could use virtual reality for that. We could use it
Hmm.
for like identifying like stranger danger, or like animals. Like so many kiddos, they love dogs. They want to pet the dog, but dogs will bite you, right? So teaching them like, what do I do when I approach a dog that I don't know? Like all of those things I can teach in a way that it's truly they can generalize it, but also keeps them safe. What do I do when I come to a body of water? Like here in Florida, where I live, there's water
Yeah.
everywhere. We lose more kiddos to drowning with the diagnosis of autism than anything else
Yeah.
because of just the sheer volume of water that we have around and their inability to really understand the dangers there. And so we could teach that using virtual reality. And there's a lot of ways that you can, again, enhance it. It doesn't replace what I'm doing. I'm not sitting back and like, okay, just go on your machine and I'll be in the corner. I'm then helping them to talk through it afterwards, right? So these sessions are enhanced, not replaced.
So the school you mentioned, Florida, that's where the school is at,
Right,
correct?
correct.
Where in Florida is it located?
We are in Stuart, Florida. Yeah. The
Oh,
Treasure
okay,
Coast
okay.
Autism Project at Community
That's
Christian
cool.
Academy.
I'm in Florida too, and I
Oh,
think maybe you said that. So when I'm like Florida, I'm thinking of my nieces and nephew. I'm like, wait a minute, this would
yeah.
be what a cool opportunity. She's out in Arbondale though, so I
Okay.
don't even know from Stewart. Arbondale is probably a distance,
Right.
or whatnot.
Yes.
But no, that's cool to just know that you're local, so I can call you up.
Yep.
Hey, I'm having these. You're expert right
Yes.
now. I love this.
Whatever you need.
I love this. So, Tara, you tell us about the VR pilot. You've told us how you guys are implementing VA, and I think it's pretty cool. You're moving at 100 miles per hour. What's your internal check-in to make sure that it's still aligned at times? Because I can imagine that you're just going, 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 but at some point we got to take that break to say, "Hey,
I
am
know.
I good?"
I know. So yeah, I am going fast, but it doesn't stop my focus, right? I want it to sharpen my focus. And so there's ways like you can move quickly and make messes knowing that
Hmm.
like you just have to come back and check in. So the check-ins are tying back to the why, my mission and vision. Why am I here? What are we trying to achieve? And am I still doing those things? And so it can be time bound. Maybe every quarter, folks can check in with themselves to say, am I still, you know, aligned with my treatment modalities, or is there drift? And there's going to be drift. It happens. It's very subtle, right? It's not like you're all of a sudden like, oh, I'm in left field and I'm doing some other therapy and I don't know how I got here. It just kind of happens. And so that's where I want folks to think like, what is our checks and balances? And it's always tying back to what's my core value. Why did we begin this? Am I still following that, right? That same vision? And if the answer is no, then what do we need to do to get back on track? Because sometimes the answer is no. And sometimes you do need to pivot. And I think as important as setting goals and your path for business, it's when do I reset? When do I restructure and say this isn't working, or I'm no longer aligned. Now what do I do? So setting those time bound things as well.
Tara, so we talked about 5 years old wanting to teach, right? But where does the entrepreneurial spirit come from? Because you went from a just being regular degular, getting me a 9 to 5 job, but
Mm-hmm.
then you got into entrepreneurship, which is very, very different, not for everyone. Like, where did it all really resonate? Where did that start for you?
Yeah, I've just been given a lot of great opportunities. So my entrepreneurship, like I run businesses for other people, like the big businesses that I've done, mine have always been small. My school, my ABA clinic, it was tiny.
Hmm.
But I help others to do their businesses as well. And I think I've had great mentorship. I've had,
That's good.
good models. I've been in the right place at the right time and I work really hard. I love what I do. I always see like, if this fulfills my passion, then I'm just going to work hard in this space and things will come to me. I'm not
Hmm.
a planner in the way like I didn't set out to say I'm going to start these things. What I say is I want to do good work and let's see what happens there.
And I love your philosophy. What's a hard leadership moment that really shaped that philosophy?
Like a challenging leadership moment, or what do you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, for sure. A challenging leadership moment that really kind of put that philosophy in place. In place.
Lots of I've had lots of lots of challenging leadership moments. Um, I think sometimes when you have initiatives that you want to launch that maybe other people aren't aligned with, that's tough. Like getting folks on board. Maybe they don't see the vision right now. Um, and it's like you don't want to pull teeth to get your team to follow you, but
Yeah.
you want to show them like, hey, bear with me, give me 3 months. If you see that we're not doing this the right way or we're not still aligned in our mission, then you can call me out, but give it time. So it's helping to change mindsets. It's helping people to change course when we need to. Um, Helping the people to really trust in you.
Yeah.
That's getting your
That's
followers.
that's never it's easy, but it's not easy, right? The mindset shift, right? I'm kind of playing that as well. We're taking over a nonprofit. Been doing the same thing for the last 5 years. So you come out with these creative ideas and it's not the norm. It's like, wait a minute, is that really going to work?
Right.
So it's really being confident in your ideas as well, right? And allow, as you mentioned, getting people to really follow on that. But I love this. And you mentioned earlier that you did this with 2 young kids, right? 2 young
I
kids?
have
I don't
two
want to give you
boys.
more than
Yep.
what you need.
They're
Okay,
they're
just
not
two
young
kids.
anymore, but they were
Then
young at the time.
how you balancing the time? I mean, you're being mom, you're obviously an entrepreneur, you're a nonprofit leader, you're doing so many different things.
Yeah.
People are asking like, wait a minute, how does she even do this? Because they're exhausted doing one thing. What is your
Right.
go-to on this?
It's really focusing my priorities and spending the time when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I'm at home. And so my kids know that my job is very important to me because they've been in it. Like they volunteer with me, they have met my
That's cool.
clients. Like we have clients that have lived with us in the past, so they've seen me actually bring autistic children home. And so it happens. What they also know is that as much energy as I pour into my work, I pour into them. And so when they're with me, they're with me. I
Hmm.
volunteer at their schools. I am a cross country mom. I'm a band mom. I'm a track mom. I'm going on my son's cross country running camp this week. So, like, I'm going to do those things. I'm going to make it happen. But it's not about the quantity, it's really the quality. And I know people say that, but you have to make that time. And
Yeah.
when work is done, like let it be done, and set those boundaries for your team. And as a leader, what I try to do too is I recognize that everybody that's working with me, the majority of them have loved ones. They have family members. So if I'm pinging them all night or weekend, they're going to feel like that's the norm, and they're going to think that it's all right for them to do to their team members. So I want to set those
Correct.
boundaries. I want to respect them. Sometimes if I do have to get a hold of them, I'll let them know, like, feel free to call me tomorrow, but I need to put this out here. Or we do have a problem and I need you to call me today, but they know that's few and far between. So, hey, I better get on this call. But I like to set boundaries for my team as well.
You got to, right? You are the leader that everyone's looking at. Maybe they don't hear us, but they definitely see what we're doing, right?
Right.
They mimic our leadership. So I like that. If someone wants to support inclusive autism care, where would they actually start today, Tara?
Like literally anywhere, but I'd say, if they want to do Special Olympic organizations, like I'm a coach there and I'm always looking for volunteers. That's always like something. Non-for-profits, you can contact Autism Speaks. I mean, you can't throw a rock these days and not find something that is doing something with inclusion or special needs individuals. So I'd say, like, really go online and reach out. And we don't just need people that say I want to do it, but like really partner with us. And it's even like business owners, not necessarily that they're like going out and they're volunteering their time, but what they're doing is they're open to employing people with disabilities. Like that's the kind of partners we also
Cool.
need. Like our community like needs to come together and say, what can we do as a collective? That would be helpful.
That's so cool. I actually met a leader, Lighthouse in Louisiana, I believe that's what the
Okay.
organization was,
Hmm.
and that's their market, right? But what's so cool is that they have this huge warehouse where those that have these disabilities are working these manufacturing machines that you think it's impossible,
Right.
but they're literally working these machines, and they do that, and they have a sub shop, and it's them working it, and all these materials that are going out is them building it. So I hear you, and it's like, yeah, just hire them. Like they're all willing to work. They all want the same kind of life experiences, but a lot of times we don't give it to them because we may look at them and think that they can't handle it. But there's people out here working heavy machinery that I'll probably be scared to do, and they're doing it,
Yeah.
like easy. So I like
Yeah,
that you
give them
did
a
mention
chance.
that.
I'd say give them a chance. There's always a job that they can do. Maybe not the whole job, but a part of it. And maybe they can't be paid yet, but give them the opportunity to try it for a set period of time, and then they can earn the paycheck once they've proven that, hey, I can carry out
Mhm.
the outcomes that you need for this job. And that's something that we teach too. When I teach these voc skills and these life skills, I want to make sure that when they have the task completed, that I'm not there breaking it down and setting it up for the next student or setting it up for the next individual. Because if they got to their job, let's say they were stocking shelves and they stocked everything beautifully, and there I was behind them unstocking it, like it's kind of degrading. And it's also like, well, maybe my job is to stock and unstock. So I want them to know, like, put it up there, however you do it, that's what it is. That's your permanent
Yeah.
product, and now I can pay you for this permanent product.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Where can people find more information, whether it's the school, whether it's the organization that you're a part of, so they can, reach out for more information, or even your LinkedIn as well. Let's add that in there if people want to connect with
Yeah,
you for more engagement.
my LinkedIn, I guess it's Tahra Cessna. I don't know. I'm not very social. So BiermanAutism.com is the website for the company that I work for. TCAPschool.com is the school. They can email me. If they email the TCAP school, they're going to get me directly. It's my cell phone number on that link. So it's me. It's still me. Yeah, so if they have that. And then again, like I keep saying Autism Speaks, but there's always like autism chapters, in the area that they can also reach out to.
And the organization that you're a part of, is it a pretty mid-sized, large-sized organization?
So the organization that I'm a part of now, we're in 7 states. We have 22 centers right now. We've just signed 3 more leases. We're going to open 1 more in New Jersey. So, but we do early intensive behavioral intervention, so ages 9 and under.
Nice.
And yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I love the information. I love that we were able to share some resources and also just kind of speak to this topic. But it's time for that blind question. Are you ready for the blind question that last leader left you?
Oh goodness, blind questions. Okay.
What would the 5-year-old teacher version of you say about the woman you are now?
I think she'd be happy and proud. Like I did it, right? Like I taught. What's pretty cool is like when I left the space of forward facing, like client facing, and went into the administrative side of it, I was nervous because now I'm losing connectivity with my clients and all the things that I was doing. But what I gained is, hey, now I'm connecting with hundreds and hundreds of families because I'm impacting their teams across the nation. The company I worked for before, we were in 28 states, we were in Canada, and all those families that I got to be a part of indirectly but directly. And so I thought that was, something that I have to share too. When I move leaders up, they're like, but I don't want to, lose connectivity with my clients. I'm like, you don't have to, but you're gonna touch even more lives. So I think I would be proud of myself to say that I'm doing what I've wanted to do my whole life, and I feel like the work I'm doing is really good work.
And what a good example to hopefully those that heard the story. You set out to do this as a young kid. You put these words out. And that's just what your goal has been. I'm a big believer that sometimes we plant these seeds and that we're watering them every single day, and we don't know when it's going to, flourish. And here you are, something that, as a young kid, I used to tell myself, because I was adopted. So I was like, when I get older, I want to give back. Because to me, I felt like it was a second
Yeah.
chance in my life. And I had the opportunity at like the age of 20 to start a 501c3, like something I never thought, right? Like talking about giving back.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And now leading a nonprofit. Like these are things that I told myself since I was a young kid, or I want to be a host on a stage. Well, God said, hey, you're a host of a podcast. This is
You're
your
doing
stage,
it.
right? So
I
even
love
for
it.
those that are listening, if you have this vision, continue to chase it. Like if you have a
Yeah.
passion, chase it. Purpose, chase it. Not always about the paycheck, not always all about the money, even though it makes life a little bit easier for us. But I truly think do the things that you love and make the world a better place, because it's not about us. And I know you know that, Tara.
Right.
It's not about us. Now that we become parents, it's like,
Right.
how do we continue to pour back into the next generation? And you're doing an amazing job. So kudos to everything that you've truly been doing.
Thank you.
We thank you. Is there any words of, oh, matter of fact, what is your blind question to the next
Okay, my
leader?
blind question, because we're the Heart and Hustle podcast. So,
Yeah.
what is one lesson your heart had to learn the hard way and has now shaped your hustle today?
Ooh, I love how you incorporated that too, Tara. Thank you so much for doing that. Tara, we appreciate your time here. Sorry that we have to end. I'm pretty sure we'll do this again. But guys, the only way that we can do this for free is share, like, and comment. All right, we talked about how can you be of assistance without having to donate anything. Well, let this conversation resonate with those that have family members that have autism, right? They're trying to figure out what can they be doing. They're looking for schools, they're looking for organizations that can help them.
Right.
Tara is exactly who we need to go speak to, okay? So blow up her phone. She just told you all the websites. Tara, has been a pleasure. My name is Ephraim. This is Tara. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Laters.
Bye.